to cheer me up because I
Yes,
need some. I'm
we
just
all
kidding.
do. We really do. It's
It's funny too. Like I do think I study this type of it's a type of therapy called dialectic behavior therapy, DBT. And anyway,
Mhm.
one of the skills in it is called stacking positives, and it's a way to in the what they call emotional regulation module or distress tolerance, learning how to just control emotional intensity of difficult emotions. They
Yep.
talk about stacking positives, and so I was being silly by saying, I would call you to cheer me up. But the reality of it is I was trying to bank what you were saying as you were saying it. Cause I'm like, I need to remember that,
Yes.
that it's cause you're right. We all go through ups and downs and it can feel lonely at times. And I'm just speaking to a computer really. So it's nice to hear your feedback. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. All right, but let's get to the fun stuff, which is you. So hang on just a sec. I'm going to change that background. I think it's kind of dumb. We'll just, Nah, it was fine before. It's fine. Whatever. That's fine. All right. It doesn't matter. Okay. No one watches it a lot. No one watches it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I do.
Thank you. Well, no, we're actually going to be starting a pretty serious campaign to get a lot more visual traffic through YouTube, Reels. We started doing Reels. I've just been too busy to actually post them, but we now have a system where we're going to be doing so.
Yes.
The visual part's going to start becoming more interesting and important, but
Yeah, and you've gotta take Kim's video boot camp because if you want
I
to
love
market
Kim.
it, like you need to get on the video, and I mean
Yeah, I know.
it's
I
changed my life.
actually,
So
I actually got to hang out with Kim a couple weeks, about a month ago at the U.S. Open. I was in New York for the U.S. Open, and Kim, that's where Kim lives, and so she'd come into town the day before I was leaving, and so I raced down, and we had this really fun, cool dinner, and I got to meet her in person, and we hung out, and she's as wonderful as you could expect.
that's so
So
fun.
she's a lovely person.
I'm a fan.
All right. Well, I'm so glad you told me Houston because I would have just instinctively thought, Indianapolis.
Yeah.
So I would have embarrassed myself more than I normally do. So hang on one sec. All right. Here. And I'm sorry, Jessica. One more thing.
Yes.
And again, no one's watching it right now, so it doesn't matter. What would you like me to promote? Because the IndieQuest thing, it's IndieQuest / whatever. Do you have a different website you want me to promote, or do you want me to promote social or both?
My social is great. Jess K. Burton. And then I'm great. If you want to give out my phone number too.
Yeah, I'll let you do that. I'll let you give out
Yeah.
your phone number, Jess K. Burton on IG. And then are you looking for any more team members? Because we have probably a lot of Houston people.
Yes. So I'm actually looking for a in-person assistant. So I'm going to talk about like how I have a virtual assistant and a social media manager, but I am currently looking for an assistant.
Gotcha. Cool.
So I would appreciate the plug. That would be great.
Definitely.
Because the candidates, man, it's changed.
I hear you. I deal with it too. Absolutely. Okay, here we go. Everything looks good. Levels look good. We're ready. And by the way, thank you for being a fan, and thank you for jumping on the show. I really do appreciate it. Love talking to people that know
this is one more thing. I have like a goal vision board thing, and I'm going to send you a picture. This is on my vision board.
No, it's not.
That I did in December of last year. Okay, that is so incredibly embarrassing, but
no, it's not. No, it's
I mean, that's
not.
how big of a fan I am. I mean, there's just so much value, and I feel like you're like scratching the surface. Like
you have to. Thank you. Thank you for that. And yeah, I think. Wow, that's really touching. Please send me, text me a picture or email.
I will. It's so embarrassing, but I
will. No, it's not. There's nothing embarrassing about setting goals.
You're right underneath Oprah.
Well, no, that's embarrassing. There should be somebody above me, below Oprah.
Well, no, I mean like where it's positioned on the vision board.
I know. I was just being. My joke was great. I have to admit that was funny.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, that is, and hopefully, and who knows? Maybe you'll be heading out to, where does Oprah live? Malibu? I think she's in Malibu. So maybe you'll be heading out one day to go meet her at her $60 million.
We'll see.
No, she's not in Malibu. She's in something with an M, right under Santa Barbara. Oh, it's going to drive me crazy. Anyway, Monticello. She's in Monticello. Okay. Is that right? Something like that. Monticello. Anyway, whatever, doesn't matter. We can Google it. I did drive near her estate once, and somebody was like, "That's where Oprah lives."
Oh, that's fun.
Right. Yeah, well, whatever. Okay. All right, here we go. Wouldn't it be funny if I was like, Jessica Burton is having her as a guest was on my vision board? That would really be weird. Maybe. All right.
I'm really embarrassed, but it's
The
okay.
Jessica Burton from Indianapolis, not the one from
Yeah, right?
All right, here we go. We're good. All right. Do you have a hard stop at 3 by the way, or
No.
okay, because we may go just a bit beyond because I want to give you more
Yeah, but
time. So
also
okay,
I
cool.
understand that you've got
No,
commitments,
no,
so
no, no.
no
I'm
worries.
good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm totally good. My buddy hasn't even messaged me yet. So okay, here we go. Okay, today on the show, our guest is Jessica Burton from IndieQuest Properties in Houston, Texas. Let me tell you more about Jessica. Jessica Burton is an award winning realtor and continuous top producer. She was licensed in 2016. That's when she got licensed. And Jessica draws from years of experience as a communications and marketing specialist and has created a reputation for her friendly client care, negotiation prowess, and relentless dedication. She continues to use these professional skills to help her real estate clients find and sell their homes. Jessica is equipped with a deep rooted knowledge of the Houston real estate market, always prepared with a local market perspective. And if you ask her what her business is built on, she will proclaim communication, care, and dedication to her clients' needs and goals. I want everybody to follow Jess on her website, on Instagram, which is at Jess K Burton, Jess JESSKBURTON, just like it sounds. And that's Instagram. And you can also find her on her IndieQuest website. We will have a link to that on the show notes. And by the way, before we get started, before Jessica comes on or before she starts talking, she is in the process of looking for some assistance. So if you are possibly in real estate in the Houston area, or if you are somebody that is looking for maybe an additional source of work while you're building your business, reach out to Jessica because she may be a good fit for you. Jess, welcome to the show.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
Can I call you Jess? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's what my friends call me. So
Awesome. Well, I am super excited to have you. Jess is one of our a listener of ours that has now is on our show, and we couldn't be happier. That's nothing brings me more pleasure than having somebody who's been a listener on the show. It's really the most fun types of interviews I do. So thank you for being a listener, number one, and thank you for taking time out of your busy week. And you're a mom, and you're a wife, and you got a million other things going on. So thank you.
well, thank
Um,
you.
yeah, I want to learn about you. So, and I want our audience to know about you. So let's start at the beginning. I know you got your license in 2016. What brought you to real estate?
Yes. So about 10 years ago, I started working in the legal field. So I was working with litigation attorneys in a marketing position. And honestly, a lot happened that year. So I ended up starting with this position, was really excited about it, had pivoted over from a Fortune 500 company, so much larger, to a much smaller company. I've always been more comfortable with smaller companies. And ended up basically, having a good start to it, but realizing really quickly, there was no really upward growth for me. It was a family-owned business, and where I was basically the best that I was going to to do in the
Sure.
company. So, in that year, I actually my dad passed away unexpectedly, and we were really tight, and it really gave me I had a lot of introspection, just about life, and the path I was going down, and just had a lot of insight and time to think about that.
Sure.
So I had always really liked real estate and found it really interesting. So my sister is actually a broker in Austin.
Oh, wow.
And, if for years she would tell me about it, and I was just so fascinated by the stories and the people. I mean, as all of the real estate agents out there know, like working with people, you just come across all sorts of, exciting and interesting people and stories. So, for years I was like, well, that's her thing. I need to go find my thing. So I avoided real estate, but then, she encouraged me. She said, just get your license. I thought more about it. I was like, okay, what's a little bit of extra income, on the side? And just I started with Keller Williams in their coaching program for about a year, and got a lot out of it while I was still working in my marketing position in the legal field.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a lot to manage in two things like that at once.
Well, I realized how much I loved real estate. So I was working, honestly, 2 full-time jobs, taking, really trying to build my business with real estate, doing open houses on the weekends, really, leveraging my relationships with my client attorneys, who then turned into real estate clients, and just really realizing how much I loved this business. I mean, I love everything from design, architecture, the financial side of it. And then I feel like, on the other side of that, working in the legal field, I really understood the importance about understanding, the contracts and, the liability that goes along with that. So I was really, I made sure that I was very educated and, knew exactly what was in those contracts, so I could explain that to my clients. And I was working with attorneys, so they have a certain way of thinking, and a certain I guess bar that they're setting, and their expectations of who they work with. So I was trying to keep up with that, and so I basically stayed with the marketing position until 2021.
Wow.
And I was doing around that time, I was doing probably, closer to 7 to 10 million. And this is all while working in the 2 jobs.
That's amazing.
And I got pregnant with my daughter. And this was COVID too. So I just realized, I was like, I do not want to keep doing this. I was nervous about taking that next step.
Sure.
As there's the security there, with the
Group health insurance, a
yes,
lot of
yeah,
it.
the
Yes.
salary, and I wanted to make sure I was going to be taking care of myself, but I also was ready to take that leap of faith. So I took that leap of faith, dove in 100% to real estate in April 2021. Ended up doing my best year ever that year, which a lot of people did. And I also was awarded one of the top 20 under 40 real estate agents in Houston that year. So
Amazing.
I think it was a little bit of a God wink, like, hey, you made the right decision. And yeah. And I was like working in the delivery room. I was out at showings 3 days after I delivered my daughter.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a wild ride.
I really, it's really an impressive story. And I think that, as you were saying that, I was thinking we have probably a lot of listeners who have been in that similar situation where they were doing this maybe part-time, or in your case, you had 2 full-time jobs. But even if you're doing another job full-time and real estate part-time, at some point, making that leap requires a tremendous amount of courage and sort of willingness to cut that cord of like the salary and all of the benefits of the sort of more stable position that isn't as risky as far as, jumping off without a net. And you basically cut the net. And I wanted to just honor all of our listeners who have made that journey, and pretty much anyone who gets into real estate essentially goes on a similar journey. But especially if you're coming from this secure and stable environment where things are very predictable, at least financially, and making that leap. So everybody who's gone through that, we just, both Jessica and I honor you, but I honor you as well for doing that. I think that, again, it's something we don't congratulate ourselves enough for making big steps. I think, that's sometimes the first step is the hardest, but it's also, the most important one. So congrats on that. Yeah. So I want to know how you grew your business, because, we'll call you a younger realtor. I don't know if you feel young, but I consider you a younger realtor. You're still new-ish in the business, even though you've been doing this for 7 years now. But you are also a 40 under 40. So I would love to know, like, how you started marketing. You talked about, hey, my previous position, I had access to attorneys. So that, led me, if I heard that correctly, led me to some real estate attorneys, and I sort of had some connections there, or just other attorneys maybe you worked with. But how did you build your business?
Sure. Well, I love being around people. I always have since I was a child. I am involved in a lot of different organizations, so always been drawn to just philanthropy and volunteerism. So if there's an organization out there, I've probably been a part of it. And really, that was me. I really like to be a part of my Houston community. So I'm part of the Junior League in Houston, part of the Houston Rodeo Try to join we have a civic association in my neighborhood, so try to get involved there. I'm not a gardener, but I'm in the garden club. Really what I've learned over the years, and I really think it takes so much grit in this business. I mean, you have to reinvent yourself and you have to pivot. And what I've determined that has worked best for me is really having 3 lead generation sources at once. And of course, we're in an industry that ebb and flows. So, just being able to evolve and adapt is very important. So, really, I focus right now and have for a while on when I got started. I'm sorry, that's what we're talking about. When I got started, it was mostly open houses. I mean, that was where I got so good with scripting, so good with just talking to people about real estate.
And did you have at the time listings to do open houses for, or were you asking other agents in your office or other
Oh
agents you
yeah.
knew? Yeah.
Yeah, so about a year into my real estate career, I moved over to a smaller brokerage, and our brokerage, I'm still there. I've been there about 6 years. Is We are led by a wonderful broker and his wife. They're just a dream team, and Preston is my broker. He is a wonderful just influence and mentor. And, he was willing to allow, agents and myself to go and host these open houses. So, when I first got started, I was really buyer heavy, as a lot of agents are. So, I didn't have the opportunity to have many of my own listings at first.
Sure.
So, of course, that's changed through the years. But the open houses, and then of course, my CRM has been a really important tool. So I actually use Follow Up Boss, and I love it.
We love
I've
Follow
used
Up Boss.
I've used a few others. That one just seems to work best for me. There's a lot of great tools in it, and really just pivoting with advertising, figuring out when it is tangible, how I can use that. But also I used social media a little bit more in the beginning, but I'm really utilizing it now, and so I'll talk more about that as well.
So your 3 sources, I hear is philanthropy one of your sources, or is that more of anyway? What are your three marketing sources?
Mine
I should just
are
ask that.
open houses, advertising, and then social media at this time.
What kind of advertising are you doing? Just out of curiosity.
So, it really depends on. I think there was a show recently, and someone was talking about, understanding your demographics and how they get information. So, I have actually send postcards to, the older demographic that really appreciates those and doesn't throw away the mail, because as we know, the younger generation doesn't really, appreciate that as much. And then advertising in local newsletters, newspapers, some websites, and really, it's something that I try it for about a year, and if I don't have any tangible return, I'll usually pivot to something else. But what I've realized is that it's important to be consistent.
Yeah, you're right. Especially with some of the outgoing mailers or phone calls or emailing, whatever the sort of outbound activity is, it seems to, it seems to take a lot of, well, this podcast is just something I've done every few days for the last 6 years. It doesn't make me special, but it just makes me somebody that's done it for 6 years. And as a result, here we are, talking with you and 500 episodes later. And it's just about, staying on target, but also measuring those metrics. How do you measure? So it is trickier when you're doing website advertising or postcards. How are like when you do get a client, are you like, hey, how did you hear about me? Or is that how you're measuring? Or how are you knowing if those those outbound sort of marketing things are working?
Yep, I usually do ask them, how did you hear about me? Or they'll let me know. A lot of people are pretty forthcoming with that information. Like, I saw you in, this so and this advertisement, and I really liked it, or some kind of feedback. And, I've been stopped at grocery stores and in public before. So it's really funny because especially like after having my children, like you're a tired mom and you would run to the grocery store and every single time you run into someone you know. So I try to like put myself together a little bit more now when I go out because I have grown my reputation in my community and know a lot more people as well. So really it's sometimes not so tangible, and that's like social media, sometimes people will see you continuously, but they may not say like, okay, well, you've been showing up in front of me for a couple years on, Instagram or whatever, and that's been ingrained in my mind, but I usually try to think about the person. And if I do know them, usually, how I've interacted with them.
Tell me, let's talk about social media because there's so many different approaches to it. I'm curious of what works for you and what social channels you focus on and like what types of content you focus on.
Sure. So I actually, I just took, or I shouldn't say just, it was a couple months ago. I took Kim Ritberg's video boot camp, and this,
Plug for Kim
oh,
Ritberg.
yes,
She is
Kim.
awesome. She's one of our partners. She does episodes for us specifically on social media. She is amazing. She's the real deal. And I'm so glad that you attended her course. Go ahead, though. I'm sorry.
She's so great. I'm actually doing her coaching course now, and that's been wonderful. So I have a social media manager, and for probably 2 years, she kept saying, Jessica, you need to get on video. These carousel
No
pictures are
one's
not
reading
working
your
for us.
posts
No one's
anymore.
reading your
Yeah.
posts. The
Yeah.
algorithm doesn't like it. You've really got to amp it up. And she would give me these ideas and, try to encourage me. And then it really didn't register until I had a person reach out to me through social media who'd said, hey, I've been following you for years. I'd really like to purchase this home and would love to hire you as my realtor. And that was a, $17,000 commission.
Wow.
So I thought to myself, like, I can put out a few more reels. I can do this. So that's when I really got more serious about it. And at first it was really, it was just not natural. I was just really hard on myself and really in my head about it. And then I was led to Kim's class, and Kim, within like a couple of days, helped me and everyone else in the class, just become more comfortable getting on video. I stopped taking myself so serious and just started to have fun with it and realized like, people on social media want to engage and connect. Like that's the whole point of it. And I was doing it all wrong. Like I would scroll. I wasn't really engaging or commenting as much. And she, gave me basically like an Instagram audit, and gave me the tools and encouragement, to just put myself out there. So, I focus a lot on videos, reels. I also, I'm engaging with a lot more people out there.
Yeah, can I pause? I want to pause you on that because I want to make sure I get real clarity for our audience. When you say engaging, you were talking about as a consumer of social media, you would sort of do the infinite scroll, the more being
Right.
entertained by it. And what I'm guessing, as far as increasing engagement, was you engaging with other people's posts. Is that my understanding?
Yes. So really commenting on people's posts because they're putting them out there, and, I would like them and move on. I also have been creating more polls and realizing how much people love to give their opinion. And I love
Me too.
seeing people's opinions. So, you're mindlessly scrolling and then you're stopped with a poll. And a lot of times people will, they'll tell me what they think or, vote on it. So there's just a lot more engagement that way. And then, I was also, I've also narrowed down the kind of content I'm providing. So I'm a little bit more mindful, trying to educate, but also entertain and just, enjoy myself a little bit more.
So let's talk about your video content because you're right. Video is everything. As a writer, I'm sort of at heart mostly more a writer than anything, and nothing is less sort of exciting for me than people moving away from writing. But I get it; it's just where we are. So video is super important. What kind of video content are you working on, and what do you put out there? What I'm curious about is here's what's going on in my life.
So I try to break it down a little bit because I did decide to I have a business account, but I also mix in my personal life in there. So I really broke it down in like four sectors. And so it's family, occupation, relationships, and dreams. So I try to do 25% family, 25% occupation, my real estate business, 25% relationships. So that's going to be like, relationships with the community or philanthropy or, just family, friends, a little bit more of, that's also tying into family, but just a little bit heavier on that side. And then dreams is also going to be a little bit more about, home design or anything I'm really interested in. And that's, really, it's mixed up from time to time. But I
And
do try to.
do you sort of alternate them? You're like, you're doing, how many videos a week are you doing these days, roughly?
Oh gosh, I try to focus on like 2 reels a week and then
Sure.
stories every day. But my social media person and I have organized is a calendar. So we have the calendar of posts of what we're going to do for the next 2 months. And of course, that
Awesome.
can change depending on if I get a new listing or need to, market something. We revisit that every 2 weeks and discuss what's going on in the market. But it's really that's my goal, of course. But that also comes down to I have to back up and schedule a content afternoon to make sure that I do have these videos done. So I've learned about, and it's so funny because it makes me sound like I'm like a dinosaur or something, but like batching has become more popular. So I've been doing more batching because I would.
Let's define batching for our audience.
So batching is when you actually just take a bunch of videos at once, and that you can schedule for a different time. So it's gonna be as many as you'd like. So you would do like 3 separate videos that would span over 2 weeks.
Got it.
So that's been really helpful because I was literally getting up and getting dressed and trying to do videos every single day, and it was stressing me out. And sometimes you wake up and you do not want to be on camera. So I would just define, a day, a week, for 3 hours, I'm going to do videos and here's what I have in mind. And then planning ahead and having that, I guess the plan and being mindful about it really helped me.
Curious, do you ever share, and there isn't a right or wrong answer here, I'm just curious, do you ever share failures or mistakes, or I'm in a rough mood today, or this happened in my life? Obviously, everyone has personal boundaries, and those are everyone's personal decision. But I'm just curious. I've started to notice a bit of a trend, at least here in our local market, where I'm seeing realtors start to talk a little bit more about, hey, this didn't go my way today. And there's like a lesson that can be learned from that. It's not just I'm complaining because it's raining and I wanted it to be sunny. But are you thinking about? I don't know. Do you share some of the harder parts, or is it more about all like the fun stuff? Because people, I think, like to see both.
Yeah, they do. So I think I share more of family life,
Sure.
and sort of the juggling act.
Well, there's lots of challenges with family life, so yeah.
Yes. So, I've done some like days in the life of a realtor, what people really like. And I'm like,
Yeah.
at first I was like, who wants to see this? Who's interested in this? But people really do want to connect with you that way. So, um, I'm pretty light, as far as like the videos that I do. I'll make jokes about like, every realtor out there has probably experienced this where you can't find like a key,
Oh, sure.
because it's like the listing agent put it like 2 houses down, like behind a tree or something, or you can't unlock the door. And, I've made jokes about that. But as far as like, talking about the current state of the market or, being a little bit more vulnerable, I'm working on it because I do think that it's good content and it's honest.
It is. It's always, to me, I'm always so impressed when somebody's willing to share a difficult part of their life. And again, it's not for everybody for sure. And of course, we need to keep our privacies and things, but I always encourage our audience to, and again, I don't think people ever want to hear you complain about stuff, but sharing like this has been a challenge today because this and this happened. I think that would be really cool a lot of times for audiences to know, like, oh, these are the challenges realtors face too, because of course we know just how challenging it is. But I will say this: this is funny. I wanted to mention this. We were talking about video. We're talking about video, and we're talking about social media. And I was at a Zillow conference in the last few months, and they did a presentation, and one of their presentations was like a 2-day thing, and they said the headshot is dead. And I was like, ooh, I got to go to this presentation because that sounds cool. So the headshot is dead, and what they were explaining is, based on all their data, and they had more data about home buyers than anybody, of course, and what they found is that with people who advertise on their site, meaning realtors who pay for leads and that kind of thing, that if the headshot is, if all things are kind of equal, meaning like the realtors got about the same number of reviews, and they're looking at like 3 or 4 agents on a page when they're looking at a listing, and they have to click one to ultimately decide on who the lead is going to go to. A lot of times they said they have a 30% chance higher of being clicked if it's not a headshot, if it's an action shot. And I was like, what's an action shot? Which basically just means the camera catches somebody doing something that's not necessarily like staring at a camera looking perfect and everyone's all filtered up. So this would be like catching you laughing, or catching somebody smiling, or whatever, making a grimace or some sort of silly thing, but when they're not looking at the camera. So just a little tip there for everyone that just came to mind. But this is what we're talking about: sharing your life, right? Like, the perfect headshot, nobody cares. But what people do like is they want to see the real person, the real person behind it. So that's where you can get videos, real stories. That is such a great,
Right.
a
And
great
it's
point.
funny because, my corporate training really programmed me to try to be perfect and,
Sure.
try to have it together and look a certain way. And that's, I've bonded so much more with my clients and the people I've met when I've been vulnerable and real. I
Yep.
mean, it's not always sunshine and butterflies and, so and that's how, I've also bonded with other realtors, and, it's
Yep.
beneficial for sure.
Yeah, I agree. People connect to imperfection and challenge a lot more than they do to perfection, because none of us can really connect with perfection unless we're
Right.
narcissists. If we're narcissists,
Well,
then we think everything we do is perfect. So, and if that's the case, you should go get help. But if you're a non-narcissist, what you find is you connect more with people's challenges. So anyway, I want to switch gears because there's so much more to talk about, and I want to talk about how do we, so we're talking about building a brand, utilizing video and social media and other things that you're doing, but you are getting leads coming in, and what we know is generating leads is challenge number one. Challenge number two is, oh, I have leads now, what do I actually do so that they don't fall through the cracks, and that I don't sort of not give them the attention I need. So how are you staying on top of leads?
yes. So I am really big on processes. I think that was something that I realized early on because I had both jobs. I didn't have time to go in and try to, get organized every single day. I mean, a CRM was something that I invested in early, because I knew that I needed to keep information in one place. I knew that I needed to figure out processes, and I couldn't just fly from the seat of my pants, which I did do for, the first year. Um, and, so I'm really big on processes. I follow the effective time management. So I think Rob Deerdrick is a big advocate of that. And so basically what that is defining what you're going to be doing basically every hour of your day. So, and it's easier said than done, especially with having a family, especially with being in real estate, because you could have an email come in or a call or anything that just, steers your day in a different direction. So, but
And
as much
you have two little ones that are which you've said earlier, but we should also said are under the age of 2. So you have a 2-year-old and a 9-month-old. So you are crazy. This is like peak mom time right now
it
for
is,
dealing with
but
kids.
I have mastered the art of delegation. I mean, that has just like that has been a game changer for me. So, we have, I've thankfully, and I have a very supportive husband. I mean, he's wonderful. So that, that helps so much. But really, making sure that my processes are in place. So, I start. I know we're not talking about data, the hours of every day, but something I do want to mention is, we've got to have a lot of energy in this business. We've having big energy, and making sure that people know that we are prepared and we can keep up, and we're going to be there to, provide the knowledge and, make sure that we're on top of, especially in the last couple of years when things were moving so quickly. So I try to start every single day by working out before my kids get up, and that's a hard in its own, but also, trying to take a few minutes to have quiet time, like meditation time. I don't want to call it meditation because sometimes I can't get out of my own head, but at least so I can set my day up and, have a clear mind so I can go into it, really concentrating on work. So, staying in front of clients is, been about my processes, but it's going in. I try to contact at least two of my sphere, that can be past clients or, clients I'm currently working with, and just anyone that's in my database. And I try to connect with them through a text message. I've actually, since I took Kim's class, I've been doing videos, like video text.
Sure.
And people love it. It's really something as easy as like, hey, I've been thinking about you and just wanted to say hi, or hey, like I saw this and, I just wanted to see how everything was going, or even, if something has happened in someone's life that may not be so great, and you can give, a nice message that way as well. So really trying to stay in front of people that way. But until I defined that I was going to actually follow up with 2 people a day, I would say, and made sure as part of my processes, I would say I would do it, but I wouldn't do it. So now, understanding from 9 to 10 a.m., I'm following up with people.
So the time blocking got you to actually complete the task.
Correct. And
And setting up your day before the day starts.
yes. So I spend the last hour of my work day, and I usually am in the office like 9 to 5. I get home around 5:30. And of course, I try to devote that time when I get home to my kids. But as we all know, that doesn't always work out. But at least, have those couple hours before they go to bed. So if I know I've really, concentrated and really put my head down at work and gotten through what I need to get through, it makes me feel so much better, getting home.
I want to go back to exercise for a second. We never talk about this on the show, and I just want to get your take on this. Obviously, everybody knows they should exercise for, just for all sorts of reasons that are beneficial that I don't need to go over. I'm curious on how important exercise, whether it's strength training or cardio or a combination. I'm curious of, you talked about needing the energy to do the job, and we know this is a high energy job. How critical, and you're a busy mom, you've got 2 little ones, you're running a business, you're also running a whole household with your husband. You're busy, yet you're making time for this. And for a lot of us, exercise is going to be the thing that first goes when we get busy, because number one, it's painful and hard and, and sweating and it's no fun. But how important is that so that you can do all of your time blocking? In other words, I'm curious to know just how critical it is for you, because I suspect it's obviously so important that you're putting it at the very front of every day.
Yeah. Well, it's for me, when I am exercising, it's helping me create more energy because I'm in better shape. I'm, in addition to exercising, that's also trying to eat clean. I definitely love my occasional glass of wine or a beer. So, everything in moderation, right? But, just trying to live a healthier lifestyle so that, it really helps me clear my mind. I mean, and I also, after you have, I guess, going back to having children, they suck the nutrients out of your body and you're kind of weak for a while. And I noticed that. So even before I had children, I was like, running half marathons. I did a half Ironman.
Wow.
Um, and I've always been when I was growing up, I was a competitive speed skater. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
So
I
physical
mean,
fitness is
it's always been
really
important to me.
critical. Yeah.
Yes.
You're very humble about it, but you're clearly, this has been a big part of your life.
It has been, but I also realize how, it helps with your endorphins and it has so many
Stress
positive
release.
stress release. Yeah. So, and I feel like, so I'm a runner. So I usually run like 3 times a week, and then do like strength training 2 days a week. But I call it my church. Like that's when I can go out. I don't have to think about the stresses of my day or what I have going on. I can, and sometimes I do, of course, but I can just really be out there and just be with myself and have some quiet time, because you really don't get that quiet time with kids or being in real estate. And usually my phone doesn't start ringing until 7, on most days. So um, it's really it's been very important and impactful. So I'm a goal setter, so I'm still like setting goals, to look forward to, and it's another way to bond with people too. Trying to get into golf. My husband loves golf, and I found that that's another, anything that I can that I may I'm interested in a lot of different things, but I also feel like there's a benefit to it because you'll be able to get out there, be with people, relate to someone, and just have a good time.
Well, and also you have that athlete background, so this competition part is sort of hardwired into you. It's clearly, it works for your business as well. But yeah, I agree. I really would encourage everyone, if you're not currently exercising, we all struggle wanting to exercise. Nobody really wants to exercise. At least I've ever met. Actually, I've met a few people that like exercising, but I certainly don't. But if you can just force yourself to do it, and there's lots of ways to force yourself. And I hate to even say force yourself because
Yeah. Are you
ideally
still
you
seeing your
love.
personal trainer?
I do have a person. Yeah, I just actually
Nice.
came from her right before
Oh,
I come
cool.
here. So sadly, the only thing that works for me is the most expensive way to do it, but
Yeah.
it gets me to do it. So
Whatever,
I
exactly, whatever works for you. I mean, and
yeah,
that's the thing, like, there's so many different ways to exercise, like dancing and,
tons.
we're exercising every day. I remember when I was pregnant, I was, like, walking up 4 flights of stairs, and I was like, "God, I'm glad I'm exercising because I would have never made this."
But what I will tell people is if you do nothing else in your business, if you change nothing else about what you're doing, but you just get in physical shape, and I mean working out to a maximum intensity of about a 7 out of 10, 10 being, oh my God, I just collapsed. You don't have to do that. But if you can get, and I'm no expert, but I'm just telling you what I've heard. If you can do a 7 out of 10 3 times a week for, however many minutes it makes sense for you to do that, I bet you your business will increase because your energy will increase, your stress will decrease, you'll have more time to put on your business, and just try it and let me know if it doesn't work for you. But it is a hard path. That's the challenge with exercise is of
Well,
course
I
it's
think
hard.
it's really, you can relate it to your business too, because, everyone started somewhere. So everyone was at the beginning of, their fitness journey or their real estate journey. And then, if you look at it that way, like you're not going to go from 0 to 100 in one day. Like set those small goals and then you'll improve over time. I mean, it's helpful to look at it that way.
I had to do earlier today. I had to do push-ups until I collapsed 3 different
Oh
times.
no, I hate
Yeah.
push-ups.
Now we don't always do that, but I will tell you that never gets easy. That's never
No.
fun. It's always super painful and brutal. But you know what? It's a good idea. So if anything, we just encourage you to get physically fit for all the other reasons that you should. But it will help your business. I want to talk about delegation, and then I want to get into managing the roller coaster that we're currently on. Right, maybe we're down in a dip at this point with rates and inventory. But before that, let's talk about how you delegate because you've had amazing success once you started delegating. And let's first define like delegating means taking some activities off of our plate that we think could be better suited for someone else, maybe because we're either not very good at it or we don't like doing it or it takes up too much of our time, but something that if we didn't have to do it ourselves but still needed to get done, that we could pay somebody or maybe team up with somebody to do. So let's talk about what are some of those tasks that you decided to delegate, and then how did you delegate them?
Sure. So I currently have a virtual assistant. She is so wonderful. There's a company in Texas that actually trains these virtual assistants. She's in the Philippines, on Texas real estate contracts. So this was like, I had wanted an assistant for a couple years. I actually got her in 2021 as well. And She's wonderful. And I wanted an assistant, but I wasn't ready to commit to, the cost of having one. I was worried that maybe I would get this assistant and then my business wouldn't do as well. And of course, was ready to take the leap of faith, but hadn't. But when I did, it was just a wonderful decision. So she handles everything from, all of the admin responsibilities, communicating with clients through email, setting up meetings. She does personal stuff for me, personal stuff for like needs for my family. And then I also realized, it was taking me like 2 hours to do like a social media post. And I just didn't love it. I was, in the generation of tech, but I was in my head too much about it. So that was actually the first thing I delegated. Now that I'm thinking about it. And that was a godsend as well. So what I realized, like going through this and having the time that I've gotten back, is that I want to delegate everything, everything other than being in front of clients, because that's what my strong suit is. I do love the marketing side too. So I really, doing some of that as well, but that is time consuming. But really being out there, lead generating and having client, being in front of my clients, that's what I really want to focus on. So I was able, when I really, when I implemented both the social media manager and the VA assistant, I grew my business about 30%. And
Wow.
it was, I wish I would have done it sooner. So that's why I'm currently looking for someone in person, because I still have, I do drop offs for clients quarterly. So I hire like high schoolers in my neighborhood to go and do this. And that's been, they go off to college, so you have to find, new people every few years. I also, I have someone who puts out open house signs for me. People who go and put supras, and these are all people that I have found. And so I would really like to have an in-person assistant who I can ask to do all of these things.
If
But
you're in the Houston
game changer.
area and you're looking to also learn from somebody, maybe you're a realtor and you're newer to the business, or you're just looking for some additional work, but you want to learn from somebody who's crushing it, reach out to Jessica, and we'll give her contact information will be in the show notes. We'll give it out at the end as well. I'm curious about another question about delegation. So you talked about a lot of times the objection to that will be, oh, I can't afford it. It's too expensive. And I'm certainly not going to ask you what you spend on that. However, what I'm curious about is how long it took you before you broke even with in other words, you have somebody who's an assistant, you're paying them whatever you're paying them, at point where you're like, this is now working and I'm actually making more money because you increased your revenue by 30%. Did it take a long time for that 30% to kick in, or was it pretty quick, or in the middle
Oh,
somewhere?
it was very quick. I'd say within a matter of months.
Wow. It's a
Yep.
pretty amazing return, actually. If we think
Yes.
about like, if you could get 30% return on your money in a couple of months, that
Yeah.
would, and that's probably not exactly what happened for you, but whatever, 10% even in a couple of months, you're like a financial genius. So this is clearly, the numbers make sense. And
Yep.
thank goodness for virtual assistants, for people agents that are listening that maybe, can't afford to pay somebody, locally, maybe the salary would just be too high. There are virtual assistants. Philippines is a huge source of that. So you certainly can find people, and you're going to be giving work to people who want work, and they are going to tell you what they would like to be paid. It's not like you're deciding; they are going to tell you, and then you can determine if that makes sense. But you can
Yeah.
find people for really inexpensive.
Well, and I'll add to that too, because I came up with every excuse, there was. I was like, oh God, it's going to take me so long to train someone. And I just don't have the capacity for this. And yes, there definitely was, that the couple of months that we had to, get adjusted. But, she was the benefit that she gave to me and, to my business was well worth it. And, she's come up with other ideas for the business and has continued to help through it. So it was a great decision.
That's awesome. Let's talk about where we are currently in the market. So, well, we know where we are if we're listening. This is 2023, October. We're getting towards the end of the year. We know what kind of year this was for most agents, and it wasn't the easiest year for most agents. So, how are you staying motivated? How are you staying busy? Are you changing any of your activities? Did you change activities this year to kind of meet the market, or was it I'm just going to put the blinders on and do what I always have done because that continues to work for you?
Yeah, there's definitely been a shift. I think it's something like 80,000 agents have left
Yeah.
the industry this year. Um, And I mean, the Houston market has just been saturated with realtors the last couple of years, which I'm sure that's the same story elsewhere. But really, it's made me focus more on my processes and really try to be in front of people. So delegating even more responsibility for administrative work to my assistant so that I can go and have more lunches or more coffees or stop drop bys to my clients. So in addition to calling 2 clients a day, I've increased that. Some days it's 4, sometimes it's 5. But I have I'd make sure I've had this in place for years. I've made sure that I send, handwritten birthday cards and handwritten notes. I every Thursday from 10 to 11, I do that. Um, and then really just, scanning social media, or LinkedIn to see if there's anything exciting happening in a client's life so I can congratulate them. I think I mentioned the drop offs as well. So gearing up for my, Halloween drop offs and Christmas. I also do a breakfast with Santa event. This will be my 5th annual.
Ah,
And it's really grown. I mean, it's my team. But I'm the person that puts it on. I just have a team that helps me to organize it. But it started during COVID in 2020. And, we had like 20 families who came in like time blocks because we didn't want to, expose people. And now it's like 200 to 250 people.
wow.
And it's become like I've seen these kids take pictures with Santa through the years. So I'm like, they've grown up with me. And I think that there are a lot of misconceptions out there about what's happening in the market. So I'm making sure to research and educate myself. So when I talk to a client, for instance, I have a client they've been looking for a house. They have 2 small children. They outgrew their 3-2 and they want to move to a 4-3. We just found the perfect house yesterday. It's gorgeous. It's priced well. And there are multiple offers on it already because that's still what we're seeing in some of the markets in Houston because inventory is still so low. And they just, they just like everyone else, they refinanced the last couple of years and they said that they're nervous and, don't know if this is the right time and do they think the prices are going to come down. And, it's just me calming them down and explaining to them like, we have the higher mortgage rates right now, but there are a lot of people who are on the fence and waiting. And, when those mortgage rates come down, it's going to open the floodgates. And, it may not be, that may not be the best time to buy. It's economics. You're not going to be in a low mortgage, low price point market at the same time. So it's for me, it's just really, and social media has helped with that too. So me just making sure people know, hey, I'm still in real estate. I'm still here to help you. And then trying to just make sure that I'm in front of people more than ever. And showing, I think something else that set me apart as a realtor is just really showing people that I care. I mean, these are people that I meet. My clients become friends for life because I genuinely do care about, where they are in their life and this exciting milestone. But really, I'm continuing and being consistent with what I'm doing because I know, oftentimes when people get nervous or they can feel a shift, a lot of people go into themselves and they don't stay consistent.
Yeah.
So, more than ever, I'm just making sure that I'm on top of, what I need to do and taking care of people.
And let's talk about encouragement because this is a business that is a sort of, it's funny because it's an interpersonal business. We're doing face-to-face interactions. At least, thankfully, we're able to do that currently. And but we oftentimes work alone, and we work in a silo. Most of our day is spent, maybe working from home, and we're not as maybe connected. Real estate offices are emptier than as technology has improved. It's just people don't have to go in as much, and so it's created a lot of, I think, a lot of isolation. And I'm curious on, isolation is good, but it can be challenging when it's a harder time, like maybe now, and it's easy to just not feel the best. And so, how do you set up encouragement? How do you like, what does your support system look like so that you're getting the encouragement you need when times are maybe more challenging?
Well, I think it's about community in a way. So like I go into my office every day. I mean, I really can't work from home because of the kids,
You're
but
pretty, yeah, a lot of
and I
noise.
have two loud dogs. So I go in the office. So I'm there, with some of my team members. I think everyone has downsides. So I make sure that I'm working out because I know that's going to help me. I listen to your podcast religiously, in other podcasts, like I think another person mentioned Ed Milet, love him. He's just very encouraging. And that's the thing. I try to, surround myself with positive people, people that are like feeling like it's doomsday. I don't want to hear that. I don't want that to come into my space because, that's what you think is usually, what is the expression, like how your reality is. So I just really try to stay positive, and I also try to get creative. This is the time, like, who cares? Try something out.
Yeah.
Try to make sure that I'm staying within my budget, but it doesn't hurt to just, try different things out or get creative or brainstorm with other people. So, I also have a good team in my office. Like I mentioned, my broker's super encouraging, and I have a group of other realtors in the office that we just all sort of are there for one another. Also, my sister is wonderful. But really, it's just, making sure that I'm taking care of myself and
Yeah.
staying consistent, like I mentioned.
I like that. And, one thing you also had mentioned your husband earlier is obviously being an incredible amount of support. It was one of the first things you said earlier in the episode. And, for those of us that don't have a partner who, is supportive, or we don't have a partner at all, this is where it becomes really important, if you do work from home, to have a support system and have people like you were mentioning, your sister, coworkers, et cetera, that, if you are somebody that, gets bummed out working at home, then find someone, another
Yeah.
realtor that
Call
you can.
me. I will talk to you and encourage you. I mean, we're
Yeah,
all, that it ebb and flows, and sometimes we have good days and sometimes we have bad days. But I mean, it makes such a difference when whenever I'm in a down mood and I call a friend who I know is going to be in a down mood, like nothing good comes from that
that's
conversation.
true. Very, very true. Yeah. So find people that of course share your worldview, and we all need support. That's another thing. So if you don't have a good support system, make 20 the rest of this year the way that you find your support, your tribe. Find the people that are like you, that will encourage you, that you can encourage, and you'll help each other. Kind of, that's that, rising tide raises all ships kind of analogy. This has been really, really interesting. I want to just also talk. I want to end with just a little bit about process, because I know you're a process person. So tell us a little bit about what process means to you, and maybe if you could share one or two of your processes that are really important for you. I know we talked about time blocking, obviously that's one, but would love to hear any others.
Sure. So, I'll concentrate on marketing a little bit. So I make sure that whenever I am gearing up for, my client interaction, that I am staying in front of my people at least once every 2 months. And that's really dependent on the tier. So follow up boss, again, going back to that, I have broken out my people into different tiers. So this is going to be, my referral partners. There's a great function, like you can add tags to your people. So, and that can group them in their different categories. So, for instance, I've got, my people, my $1 million plus clients, are in one tier. And then I've got my referral group, or, which is like my top 20 people who refer to business to me, or clients who, have been past buyers and, it's really broken down into like the, price point segment. But having that there, because that also includes their birthdays. So I know that, I can see when their birthdays come up, so I can make sure that that card is sent out and they know that they're cared for. I also am collecting information throughout the month to put into my monthly newsletter. So the newsletter, I've actually done this the cheaper way. I use MailChimp. So it's like $10 a month. And then I go to a website called Lighter Side of Real Estate. Lighter Side of Real Estate. They have all of these really helpful like articles and like memes, and and
It's
if
cute and funny, basically.
yes, but it also has a lot of home related articles,
Yeah.
or just like even like mortgage, what's going on with just homes in general, like the market. And so I will build my newsletter throughout the month, add any Houston happenings, and then make sure that each day I'm really trying to focus on what's happening in my clients' lives, or what's happening throughout a process. So every Tuesday and Thursday I do check-ins with my active clients, just to even if I have nothing to say to them, I usually just say, here's what's going on, here's what we have look forward to. I also have a timeline that is sent out to them whenever a transaction begins. So that's going to tell them the important dates. So I'll go back, I'll reference that when we're talking on the phone. A lot of these people, are busy professionals. So I'm texting with them a lot. And that's when also I'll do a quick video and just say, hey, here's where we are, just so they know that I am there and I haven't just disappeared, even if nothing's going on. So really, those are some of the processes. I don't know if there was anything specific.
No,
I
that's
could go
so
on and
good. I mean,
on.
no, of course you can. No, that is I think incredibly helpful. I mean, we did a lot. We're coming up on an hour, and we did a lot. I mean, I could talk to you all day, and I would, but then you wouldn't get any. Then your time blocking would really would really get screwed up, and I don't want that in my conscious as affecting your day in that way. So no, you have been amazing, and I will absolutely love to bring you back, because Jess is she's on the rise. I mean, she's been doing this 7 years, but she is consistently growing her business year over year, even in these tough markets. So she is in the process of looking for for an assistant. So in person, a local assistant. Just what are you looking for? Just for any of our audience who might be considering wanting to work with you.
Sure. So, someone who is comfortable with administrative work. So, there's a lot of compliance documents and contracts. So, if you have real estate experience, that would be helpful. If you're licensed, that would be even better. But I'm also happy to help with that. And then someone that is comfortable with client interfacing and communications, someone that also has marketing experience, social media. I mean, just well-rounded. But also, if you aren't strong in one of these areas, I'm also really open to mentorship and just helping you grow. I truly believe that if someone is around me, I want to see them succeed, and want to help you in whatever capacity that I can. So it's kind of I also just want someone who can keep up with me.
Gotcha. Well, if anyone out there feels like this could be a possible fit, what's the best way they should reach out to you?
Sure. So I'm on Instagram at Jess K Burton, or you can call me at 281-704-2061, or email me at jessica@indquest.net.
Awesome. Well, also everybody should follow Jess at Jess K Burton on Instagram, and you can find her on all the other social channels as well. But she talked a lot about what she does for social media. So, if you would like to see what somebody who's got a pretty good handle on social media, what they do on a regular basis, follow her on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, see what she's doing, and guess what? You can inspiration, you can take her inspiration and actually duplicate hopefully some of her success. And she's just a heck of a nice person, so let her know that you appreciated her coming out on the show. Reach out to her. We are I just had a guest, no, I never tell our audience to do this, but we just had a guest reach out. She said, I just was on your show and I got over 100 emails. So and obviously
Oh my
let's
gosh.
not yeah, I don't want to bombard you with our audience emails, but if you did appreciate Jess in the show, let her know. She said something very kind to me, which reminded me to do this before we started. She had said something that was very impactful to me, and so please let her know how much you appreciate her being on the show. So on behalf of the audience, this is a great place to wrap up. Thank you. We appreciate you, Jess. You're a wonderful person. You could tell it comes through in the way that you communicate, and obviously you're a great realtor as well, and you're so generous and willing to share exactly how you grow your business. So we will definitely want to have you back on, when things are even more crazy and impressive for you, because of course they will be. And so on behalf of the audience, thanks, Jess. And on behalf of Jess and myself, we do this because everyone who is listening to our words, Jess and my words right now, this is all for you. So thank you for taking time out of your day to listen and try to improve some part of your business. I hope you got some value here. I know I did. So again, let Jess know that you appreciated it. Follow her on social, shoot her a quick message. She'd appreciate it too. And again, thank you for listening. We just ask our audience, please tell a friend. Jess was telling me she does this with realtors that for this podcast, which thank you, Jess, for that. Please do the same. We appreciate it. Let someone else know, especially there's so many great things that Jess said to do, practical things that you could do just by listening to this particular episode. So shoot a link over. We would appreciate it. And we will see, thanks, Jess. We will see everybody on the next podcast episode. And thanks, Jess.
Thank you.